it's Don Skaggs again for Empowered Inventing, the one place where we try to help you help other people by taking your great innovation, the right opportunity, mixing that with sound wisdom to turn them into real things like products and businesses. Now today, I have a question for you, and that's, do you have any superpowers that you might not be using? I know, again, that's kind of an odd question, but you know, you may have some superpowers that you're not using. And if you've ever seen any of these old comic book superheroes, and of course they're all over the movies now, and there's a lot of really cool, but you know, a lot of them have that same the origin story, I think they call it, where you know, they're just, you know, the everyday guy and he gets bit by a radioactive spider, or you know, maybe he has some superpower and he doesn't realize he has it, and then all of a sudden something happens and he's able to do something, or she's able to do something that they were never able to do, never thought they could do, something superhuman, a superhuman superpower. Well, inventors and entrepreneurs are really kind of like people like that. You have a superpower. As an inventor, as an entrepreneur, as a small business, you have a superpower. Why? Because you wouldn't be doing what you're doing unless you had this extra something, this extra oomph. Everybody has something that they are really good at, they're very creative about. And a lot of times, especially with the inventor entrepreneurs, it's your creativity. But unfortunately, you may not be utilizing your superpowers in some important areas that will help you to be successful in your invention, your product, or your business. Now, I want to talk to you about several superpowers that you may be underutilizing. Now, the first one is, I've mentioned it before, it's your creativity. And you know, as inventors, sure, you came up, you had this big aha moment, and you came up with this great idea for this product, for this business, and you were like, wow, because you were creative. Maybe it just hit you in the middle of the night, maybe it hit you in the shower, but you just suddenly, somewhere, somehow, for some reason, had this epiphany, this moment where you knew, and you got to thinking about it, and then it started changing, and you saw it taking shape, and seeing what it could be. So you have this amazing creativity that you have used to come up with your idea. But a lot of times then we end up leaving that creative ability, that superpower, at the door when we walk into the door of our businesses, because we've not used it in other parts of the process. So for instance, what about your development? When you're developing this product, are you just spending gobs of money for development, hiring experts and all this? And there's nothing wrong with that. I've been hired as an expert, and there's some really good people out there, and sometimes you need their expertise. But you know, if you're just bootstrapping, if you're starting out, but you need some development that you don't have the dollars to spend for, then you can get creative and use some lean resources out there. And we teach a lot of that in some of our classes, about finding these lean resources that can just catapult you up with your product development. Why? Because you were creative about it, and you used that superpower that the same one that you used to come up with your idea. So are you using these lean resources? What about your market validation? Are you being creative about that? You can actually figure out creative ways to reach your customer. You see this, and there's a great example of this I read one time about the fashion industry. I never knew this, and that was that some scientists, believe it or not, actually did a study on the fashion industry, and they wanted to know what was causing fashion trends. You know, all of a sudden everybody's wearing suspenders. Well, no, they're not. I do, but nobody else does. You know, there was a time, I guess, where people did, but I wore them before they were cool. I wore them after they were cool. So anyway, the fashion industry is very fickle, and it's like, okay, how come a fashion changes one way or changes another way? And the one conclusion they came to with the study of what drove changes in the fashion industry was that when everyone else was going one direction, they went, the trend, the new thing was someone going in the opposite direction. And that's a very, very creative thing. And of course, you know, you would expect to probably see that in something like a fashion industry. But what everyone else was doing, they were going in the other direction. And that started a new trend. So maybe that's part of your creative part is you find out, okay, everybody's doing this. What's everybody not doing? Can I do what everybody else is not doing and actually make it a thing? And sometimes you can do that. You know, sometimes you can't in certain industries, but sometimes you can. And again, that's where your creativeness and, okay, how can I do this? How can I reach my customer in a creative way that maybe no one else has done before? So use that superpower, use that creativity. Now, another one is your specific expertise. You know something that most other people do not know. I don't care who you are, I don't care what you do, you have an expertise, you have something that you're really good at where you just knock it out of the park and nobody else comes anywhere close. That's a superpower. That's something that you really want to capitalize on. Take that specific expertise, take that and use it. When you get, and let's say, okay, well, Don, I'm not really, you know, I don't really have specialized knowledge, or I don't feel like I do. You probably do, but you just feel like you don't sometimes. But let's say you're not, or you feel like you don't, or what you're specialized in, you really can't find a fit. Well, get immersed in that market, in the market that you are wanting to approach. Get immersed in that market. And we always say to do that. You really need to do that. And when you're immersed in that, you can pick up a specialized knowledge. And then what you do is you will see things about your customers that maybe everybody else is missing. And again, a little bit of that creativity superpower kind of slips in there too, but you're watching for things. You're coming in from the outside, but you're getting immersed in it, you're getting to understand it, and you're catching that one thing that someone else has not caught. That is an innovation. Your expertise in one area could also be leveraged in another. Let's say your expertise is the fast food industry. You know, there's a lot of specialized processes in the fast food industry that maybe have never been heard of in another industry. And that's just some off-the-cuff example. But what I'm saying is there might be something that you're already immersed in, that you're already familiar in, some foundational expertise of yours, specialized knowledge of yours that is unheard of, that if you applied it to that other industry, all of a sudden you've got an amazing innovation. That's a superpower. Lastly, your determination and your diligence. And this is cool because this is a superpower that just about any of us can have. Because it takes hard work, it takes formed habits, but it can be done. If you are determined and you have diligence about what you're doing, if you're willing to get up early in the morning where everyone else is still sleeping in, if you're willing to do what other people are not willing to do, if you're willing to go that extra mile that your competitors and other people are just asleep at the wheel on, that's a superpower. That's determination, that's diligence, and that is so cool because that is a superpower that any person can acquire. And diligence is a big piece of it. Diligence is important. Diligence, people, and wisdom. We are always saying those are three very, very big pillars of being successful as an inventor, an entrepreneur, or a small business. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I hope you find your superpowers and you utilize them in very unique ways that really help you to be successful as well. I'm Don Skaggs. This is Empowered Inventing TV. Be sure and like, subscribe, help us to build our tribe, and I will look to see you at the next meeting, workshop, maybe one of our online classes, or on the next video.